Hello and welcome to Board Deck and Dice going live on Board Game Exposure to show you how Beneath works. I'm just going to give you a general overview of the game. This is coming to Kickstarter towards the end of September, and I have not been paid to do this overview, although as Board Deck and Dice, although Dark End Games have engaged my marketing services in Board Game Exposure. So I'm not going to comment on how the gameplay, on how I feel about the game. I'm just going to show you roughly how it works. So here we have the board. I've not set it up as a proper map, but I've just got all the components out so we can roughly show you what you're going to be doing in Beneath. The first thing you'll be doing is choosing from one of the four dwarfs included. We have the Thief, who is Morbar Bloodhand, and on this player board you'll see that he has a slot for an armor card. You may only have one armor card, a slot for a shield. Your weapon will go off the side here. You have speed, which could be affected by items, which go here, or boots, which go here. Your starting speed as the Thief is 3. You have a starting armor, which is affected by your shield and your armor itself. You have your health, starting health here. This is for all the loot you will be gathering during the game. This comes in various tokens. There are lots of tokens in this game, so I've left those to one side. We'll just kind of talk it through. And then this one can hold 2 items, but in each item slot you can hold multiple items of the same type. Then this is for your treasure chest and your loot bag. So they all kind of look the same, but they have different starting health. As you can see, the hero is a proper tank, but not as fast as the Thief, and he is called Errol Hammer Fist. The miner has more health, but not much speed as the Thief, and not as much health as the hero. And he is Woden Iron Guard. And the Bombard is Durun Granite Bane. Good health, good, but not as high at speed as the Thief. So the Thief is the highest speed. The Bombard and the Miner are both 5'2", and the hero has the most health. So you'll choose one of these. You will find the figure to go with it. You'll mark all the appropriate stacks. So here we have the miner figure. They will generally start on one of these positions, which the first player will start. How do you bump up your abilities? Well, you could buy a little loot leather bag. So that will let you hold 6 more items, because the other thing is different classes can hold a different amount of items. So the Thief can hold 9. He adds a bag on there, and now he can hold another 6. So that's 15. I just did that by the gift of maths. The hero can only hold 5 items. The miner can hold a few more. And the bombard can hold a lot too. You can also buy a treasure chest where you can place your tokens into those slots. The slots are important because while you're in the mine, you will be gaining lots of money. And money is used to pay for stuff, gold, as it's called in the land of the dwarfs. And gold will have to be stored, and while you're in the mine, you cannot so if I have 1, a 2, and a 2, I can't then bump that up to 5, while I'm in the mine. So that will take 3 spaces. If I'm paying to use an ability though, so say I have an ability that costs 1 and all I've got is a 5, I can pay the 5 and take change, but that change is going to take up more space in my bag than the 5 would, and then potentially any more valuable treasures would. One of these tokens will have an exit on. Each map will tell you how many of each token to take and and how many potential enemies, etc. And you will shove them all in a draw bag or just face down on the table and shuffle them up. So we have our character. I've set this map up. This is not the map you'll be using in the game. You will be selecting from a depth level. Now, depth level 1 is very introductory. All the rocks are height 1, so and you can't attack other players. So we're going to ditch those. On the back of each depth level, you can see how likely you've got a chance of getting all of the stones. So there's going to be none of that. There's a very low chance of getting that. So you'll choose one of these, and whenever you're choosing a depth level, you must go higher, one higher or one lower than the previous. So we take a couple of these. I'm looking for something very specific. There, we'll take this one, and we'll take this one. But we will not take that one. So here we have depth level 2. It tells you exactly the tokens to put into the bag. And this scroll is probably the most important token in the game, because the player to get 4 of these scrolls and turn them into the merchant for a scroll card, because scroll tokens can be stolen but cards cannot, will win the game. So that is what you're after, 4 scrolls. There's always an exit, an amount of gold, and potentially some precious jewels. Now we'll look at this one. This one doesn't have a scroll, so not all maps are going to have scrolls, but it does have fire and granite. So fire looks like this, and whenever someone steps on that, monster or good guy, that will do damage, and the map will tell you how much damage. So walking on fire deals 1 damage. Granite is generally, this looks lovely, very difficult to mine. Only certain cards will let you mine granite. So normally on a level, your granite will not be mineable. If there is a skull, that's going to mean a monster will come out. So you would need to consult the monster board. On the monster board, you have this beautiful crystal. This is all prototype, by the way. I didn't say that at the start. I meant to. This is a complete prototype of the game, and it's already looking phenomenal. Every time you go into a level of the mine, you will move this up once. And when a monster comes out, you will look what color is under there. So that we are still on green, and then you will roll the dice, and that is the monster that will come out. So whichever number you roll, that monster will appear in the dungeon, and it will be controlled by the player to the left of you. That does not mean that they are immune to attack. Monsters will often move towards the nearest person unless they have instructions on their card, which directs them in another way. For example, the Terror Worm, we see that he will roll 1 yellow dice in combat. He starts with 5 health. If someone manages to kill him, this is the rewards they will get, and his movement is a mighty 6. But when burrowing to a new target, the Tremorole may roll an additional green on its attack, and it will target new people each turn. So the person to the left of the person who discovered the monster will control it, but they may have to attack themselves in that controlling. And we have some great, no, that's a dwarf. We have some great sculpts, even at this prototype stage. Little cheeky goblin with a staff there. Whoever this fella is, with his spears, and kind of rock golem character here. This stuff is just from where it's stuck to the polystyrene that it was transported in, so you don't need to worry about that. And as I said before, it is a prototype map, prototype thing. So they will go on the board as so. Let's have another miner on the board as well. So before you start the map, you'll get a chance to buy a weapon. You need a weapon because you are going to be mining and attacking. Weapons come in tier levels. So here we have a tier 7 thief, and you have to buy tiers in order. So you must start at tier 1. When we played this, the person did not put it away as I instructed, with 1 on the top. Dwarven Thief would start with this weapon. They can buy it for 3. If they wanted to go up, they wouldn't be able to afford it because you only start with 8. But this is Thief Axe, gives you some special abilities here. At the end, you may steal 1 from the merchant. Nasty guy. You also have class skills. And once you've bought the level 2 or 3 skill, you must use the highest skill that you have. You can't go back and use the level 1 skill. So you have those items which are class specific. Then you have the storage items, but you also have all the armor, the shields, more items which are more general that you can buy. And again, if you're buying items, you can stack them as per class. So if you have a flame item, you can keep multiples on your player board in one space. So that is how you stack yourself up to go into the dungeon. So let's say we are, this is never going to be a setup, but I'm just going to show you how you interact with all the elements of the board. On your turn, you will move your speed limit, so 1, 2, 3, for example. Then you will either make an attack or a mine by rolling the applicable dice. If you do not have an item that lets you do so, you can only do one or the other. You can't mine and then attack. So let's say our character was here, and they are going to make a mine attempt. They will take the dice on their weapon, which can be anything from the really weak blue, which only roll 2 1s, to the much better. Is pink much better? Pink's a little bit better. Green's better still. It's got a 2 on it. Purple's where it's at. That's just a d6. So you'll roll all these and you will get a number. If I got, let's say I got a 3 from my mining rolls, my choices here are to take all 3 stackable blocks from this column, and then I would dive into the bag for loot once. But because I'm also facing these 2 columns, you can turn to face however you want without a movement cost, and you face the 3, it's either 3 at the front or 3 at the back. I could also mine these 2. So I could mine these 2 for the cost of 2, and this one for the cost of 1, giving me 2 delves into the bag, which would be much better. If I rolled a 3 and there were an enemy here instead of a rock, my extra 1 would not carry over to the enemy, so I may as well use it to take 1 off the top of there. That's how mining works. If instead I decide to attack, I would just do all my attack onto one enemy, hopefully killing them and not letting them beast me right back. Granite is unmineable for most part of the game unless you get a weapon or item that lets you destroy it. If you ever pick up a token you don't want, you can drop it directly on your space face down so people don't know what it is. If you reveal the exit token, which says exit on it, you just put that face up in the space, and as soon as someone stomps onto that, the level will end, and they will become the first player who chooses the next depth and gets to go to the merchant first with all the gold that they have got and treasures they've got from the level. The merchant will buy gems at the appropriate rates down on the bottom of the monster track board. And you can, to some degree, with some of your items, sell them back at half price. But weapons, you cannot do that unless they specifically say so. Remember, any loot that you keep must be stored on your board or your extra loot. So going into a depth full of treasures with lots of treasures left on your board is a little bit silly. If you defeat another dwarf in combat, you can steal 2 tokens at random from them. If you defeat a monster in combat, you get the treasure on the bottom. After one of the players has managed to get 4 scrolls, they win the game. That is a very basic overview of Beneath from Dark Hand Games. This is due on Kickstarter on September 24th. It is already phenomenal in terms of the physical components. If you like kind of exploration games, it is definitely one to look at. I will be sending this copy on to the Hairy Game Lords, and they will be giving a review soon as well. Any questions, please go and like the Dark Hand Games Facebook page and keep track on the Beneath game campaign through that, and we'll be sharing the link when it launches. Thanks very much for joining us. We'll see you next time.